Alright, Shalom. Giving all praise and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rahakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone that rule well. Shalom to all you Arkim that be pushing this word around the globe in faith and in truth and in sincerity. As always, I begin by saying we are the real Hebrew Israelites. The real Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics and Native Americans, West Indians and West Africans predominantly. However, you are going to get Israelites who look like the other nations, because Israel has been scattered amongst all peoples out of various captivities, so we're going to look like all people. But if your nationality, which is determined by the line of your fathers, your seed line goes back to the man in the Bible named Israel, then you too are an Israelite no matter what you may look like. Now, this is going to be a follow-up lesson on a lesson I've done earlier on this afternoon, where I showed a video of this elderly man being pushed to the ground by the police, and some interesting things have transpired since then. It says, this is from Metro News in the UK. It says 57 cops resign in disgust after 2 colleagues suspended for shoving peace activist 75 to the ground. And here you can see some photographs of the situation. If you want to see the video clip, just click on the previous video I did and you'll be able to see it because I played it there. But it says, Buffalo Police Department's entire emergency response team resigned. Wow, their entire emergency response team resigned after 2 cops were suspended for shoving a 7-year-old peace activist, Martin Gugino, to the ground, cracking his skull. Damn, man. And this was published on Friday the 5th of June, which is today, 2020, at 8:26 p.m, so not too long ago. It says, a police force's entire emergency response team has resigned in disgust after 2 of their colleagues were suspended for shoving a 75-year-old peace activist onto a concrete sidewalk. A total of 57 officers quit their emergency roles at Buffalo Police Department in upstate New York Friday afternoon as a protest at the suspension of their unnamed colleagues without pay. How do we get that right? As a protest at the suspension of their unnamed colleagues without pay. Oh, okay, so they resigned as a protest. Announcing this dramatic move, Buffalo Police Benevolent Association President John Evans told the investigative Post, 57 resigned in disgust because of the treatment of 2 of their members who are simply executing orders. It is unclear whether the officers involved have quit the force entirely or just stepped down from the emergency response team they belong to. So let me play it here for edification's sake.
Back up. Get off the steps. Let's go. Get back. Get back.
Better get an ambulance for him.
So it says,
as the NA.
It says, the mass resignation came hours after footage emerged showing the scandal-hit cops shove Martin Gugino onto a concrete paving slab outside the Buffalo City Hall on Thursday night. That push caused Gugino to crack open his head, with the elderly protester still critically ill in hospital. Both cops also now face a criminal investigation. Buffalo PD sparked a subsequent lying storm after releasing a statement claiming Gugino had injured himself after tripping despite video evidence clearly showing that he'd been shoved. Let me read that again. Boy, this is deep, man. It says Buffalo PD sparked a subsequent lying storm after releasing a statement claiming Gugino had injured himself after tripping despite a video evidence clearly showing that he'd been shoved. The New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, called for the cops involved to be fired and charged at his daily coronavirus briefing on Friday after saying the footage had made him feel nauseous. He explained, "I was sick to my stomach. It was the same feeling I had for for 90 of the past nights when I got the death tolls for coronavirus, I was physically sick to my stomach. And that's the end of the article. So it's strange. It seems like 57 of the officers resigned because they didn't like the fact that the two involved in the pushing incident were suspended. So let's see what some of the comments say. It says, let me get all comments if I can. Oh, fucking new. They always filter fucking comments. Anyway, it says, this is from someone called Mark Scott. Let them 57 police resign because they're no better than the others who pushed the old man over. Just following orders surely should have used a bit of common sense than trying to cover it up. Time for a clear out of incapable police officers. 16 people like that comment. Where have I heard the phrase they were only following orders before? My thoughts exactly. So yeah, man, let them 57 officers resign. Because it was an unjust move they did. There's no need to push the man like that. You know, they caused an accident, and instead of owning up to it, they try and cover their tracks. So let me bring out some scriptures for edification's sake. Let me get my Bible up. Probably going to use the same scripture I used before. Yeah, Proverbs 29:2. This says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And this is what we have right now. Let me see if there's any more meat here. This is a good one. Proverbs 29:12. If a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked. And as I just brought out in that last article, the police tried to cover up the fact that they pushed the man, you know, with lying, saying that he tripped and he fell. Well, obviously, if you've got corruption at the top levels of the police department, you're going to have it at the bottom, because as the scriptures say, if a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked. Here's Proverbs 29:16, another good one. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. And that's kind of spiritual, because we saw the fall of that elderly man. Soon we're going to see the fall of Esau and his entire empire. Yeah, Proverbs 29:22. An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man aboundeth in transgression. Proverbs 29:27. An unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is an abomination unto the wicked. Yeah, some good meat here, but let me get back to the original point. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So that's the state of play. 57 police officers walked out. Interesting stuff. So I'm going to close this lesson out here. I need to make it longer than it needs to be, but actually let me just see if there's anything more on other sites. Let me see some other reports. Let me go into this one. See if there's anything here for edification. This is from the Washington Post. What they call their morning mix. Sounds like a breakfast cereal. 57 Buffalo officers resigned from special squad after 2 others are suspended for allegedly. How is it allegedly when there's video of them allegedly shoving a 50-year-old protester to the ground? Let me play this one, see if it's any different. Probably the same thing.
Get him at it. What the you walking up on me? I'm on the ground. Y'all don't want this shit. Back up.
medical attention. Are you there? Guys? He's unconscious. Yeah, trapped and instead you make it making it worse. Come on, man. You got linebackers knocking an old guy over.
How interesting. So it says 57 members of the Buffalo Police Department resigned from a special squad Friday to protest the suspension of 2 officers shown on video shoving a 75-year-old protester to the ground and causing him to hit his head on the sidewalk and suffer a serious injury, officials said. The footage, shot by a local NPR affiliate WBFO on Thursday evening, shows the man walking up to uniformed officers in Buffalo's Niagara Square during an anti-police brutality demonstration. How ironic. After George Floyd's death, the officers who had begun enforcing curfew yell what sounds like "move" and push him back. One officer can be seen pushing the man with an outstretched arm while another shoves a baton into him. A third officer appears to shove the colleagues towards the man. The man falls to the ground. His head whips backwards onto the pavement and he lies motionless. Tragic, man. He's bleeding out of his ear, someone yells as blood pools beneath the man's head. The officers then keep walking, leaving the man on the ground before 2 state police officers step in to render aid. On Friday, the police department's entire emergency response team resigned from the squad in protest of their colleagues' suspension, according to several local news reports. The team was formed in 2016 to respond to civic unrest. 57 resigned in disgust because of the treatment of the 2 of their members. What kind of madness is this? Who were simply executing orders. Oh yeah, great excuse. Buffalo Police Benevolent Association President John Evans told WGRZ. Eric County Executive Mark Poloncarz said in a news conference Friday that he was exceptionally disappointed by their resignations. It indicates to me that they did not see anything wrong with the actions last night, which I think each of us in this room found something wrong. I think there's more to this than meets the eye. I think there's more to this than meets the eye. I don't really believe that 57 people would resign in disgust. Maybe their team got squashed and they want to make it look like these people resigned of their own free will. But anyway, that's just me speculating. Let's continue with the article. It says, it indicates to me that they did not see anything wrong with their actions last night, which I think each of us in this room found something wrong with, as well as our governor, the mayor, and millions of people across the country, and for that matter the world, he said. The 75-year-old man, identified as Martin Gugino by the group People United for Sustainable Housing Buffalo, was taken to hospital after his fall and was in a stable but serious condition. Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown said. Buffalo police spokesman Captain Jeff Rinaldo said he believes the man's injuries include a laceration and possible concussion, while Poloncarz said it was a serious head injury. Buffalo Police Commissioner Byron Lockwood launched an internal affairs investigation into the officers after seeing the video, Rinaldo said. He declined to identify the officers who were suspended without pay. Video of the incident provoked widespread condemnation online as police in cities across the country fall under intensifying scrutiny for using excessive force against peaceful protesters. Poloncarz said the incident sickened me, while New York Governor Andrew M. Cuomo called the incident fundamentally offensive and frightening. Cuomo said Friday that he had spoken with Gugino and he praised the mayor for quickly suspending the 2 officers. I would say I think the city should pursue firing, Cuomo said at a news conference, and I think the district attorney should look into the situation for possible criminal charges. And I think it should be done on an expeditious basis. A Buffalo police statement initially said the man was injured when he tripped and fell during a skirmish involving protesters in which several people were arrested. That language only amplified the criticism as the video soon showed it was false. Rinaldo said the claim that the man tripped came from officers who were not directly involved and were standing behind the 2 officers who shoved the man. Rinaldo said that once the video surfaced, it was brought to Lockwood's attention, leading to the officer's immediate suspension without pay. Brown said he and Lockwood were deeply disturbed by what they saw. After days of peaceful protests and several meetings between myself, police leadership, and members of the community, tonight's event is disheartening. Brown said, I hope to continue to build on the progress we have achieved as we work together to address racial injustice and inequity in the city of Buffalo. My thoughts are with the victim tonight. Is there any more to this? New York State Attorney General Letitia James said her office was aware of the video. Harper S.E. Bishop, a Buffalo resident who is the Deputy Director of People United for Sustainable Housing Buffalo, told the Washington Post that Gugino is a longtime member of the group and community organizer who works on issues including affordable housing and racial justice. Martin shows up for his people, our community, to dismantle systems of oppression, Bishop said. That's what he was doing tonight at the City Hall. He shouldn't have been met with police violence for showing up and demanding accountability for the ongoing brutality and murder of black lives. Thursday marked the second time since last month that a viral led to an internal affairs investigation of a Buffalo police officer. On May the 10th, an officer was filmed repeatedly punching a black man in the face during a traffic stop arrest, leading to Erie County District Attorney's Office to open up an investigation into the officer. Nationwide video footage has played a key role in exposing police abuses during the protest that ignited over Floyd's death after a Minneapolis officer was captured pressing his knee on Floyd's neck. In Philadelphia, it's a long article. In Philadelphia on Wednesday, a Temple University student was released from jail on charges of assaulting a police officer during a protest after video emerged showing that a police officer was the one beating him in the head with a baton, while another used his knee to press on the student's face on the pavement, the Philadelphia Inquirer reported. Interesting article. A Salt Lake City police officer in riot gear was captured in a video last week using his shield to knock down a man who was shuffling slowly with a cane. After ordering to clear the sidewalk outside of a public library, he fell to the ground face first. The police chief called the incident inappropriate and said it is under investigation, at the Salt Lake Tribune reported. In Fort Lauderdale, Flay, last Sunday, an officer was suspended after shoving a black woman who was kneeling on the concrete behind him with her hands up. That incident inflamed an otherwise largely peaceful protest and outraged demonstrators threw water bottles, the Miami Herald reported. Police soon responded with tear gas and rubber bullets. One officer ended up striking a woman in the face with a rubber bullet, cracking her skull and leaving her bloodied and bruised about the face, the Herald reported. As in Fort Lauderdale case, police tactics have regularly turned peaceful protests into violent confrontations this week. Most infamously, federal officers on Monday forcibly removed protesters from Lafayette Square using pepper balls, batons, and rubber bullets, sending hundreds running, crying from the chemical agents. So President Trump could, not President Chump, which he is a President Chump, but I mean President Trump. President Trump could have a photo op outside St. John's Church. After the suspension of the two Buffalo officers Thursday, the New York Civil Liberties Union demanded that demonstrators be allowed to gather without the threat of police brutality on the street tomorrow. Police officers cannot continue to hide behind the lie that they are protecting and serving, the NYCLU said in a statement. City leaders need to take this as a wake-up call and seriously address the police violence during this week's protests and the culture of impunity that led to this incident. There's no place for military-geared police to enforce curfew by inflicting violence on the very people they are supposed to protect. Correction. The headline on an earlier version of this report incorrectly stated that 57 of the officers had resigned from the Buffalo Police Department rather than its emergency response team. Okay. And that's the end of the article. Very interesting reading. And that's from the Washington Post. So once again, I'll just bring out the scripture I brought out, the main point, which is Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And that's the state we're in, and it's only going to get worse because Esau wants this. Esau wants anarchy, so he can come down with the hammer and bring in his military martial law and enforce his new world order. So this is all just steps towards that. In the coming days, weeks and months, as this situation continues to intensify, as we draw closer to the return of our Lord, Yahweh Shai, which is the one that the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. So, we're not going to get deliverance by begging for it from Esau, by protesting in the streets. No, we're only going to get salvation when Yahweh Shai returns with his chariots to crack the clouds and bring an end to Esau's kingdom. So that's what we should be focused on. And that's what we should be speaking about. That's where we should be focused, because the scriptures say, wait ye upon me until the day that I raise up to the prey. So we're not supposed to avenge ourselves on Esau. We're supposed to wait for the Lord. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up, giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Hakodash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and salutations to all you Archeum to be pushing this word around the globe in faith and in truth and in sincerity. And until the next lesson that I'm able to do, Lord willing, I'll say Shalom.